All right, today we're going to be talking about an incredible herb called rhodiola, something that everybody on this planet should be taking. And of course, we have none other than the medicine hunter himself, Chris Killam, on the show today. Because, hey, if you're going to be hunting herbs, you got to talk to Chris Killam, right? At least in my book, I'm coming to you.
Thank you, Ward. Thank you
You're the
so
guy.
much.
You're the guy.
I'll accept that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, rhodiola. We sometimes we hear about it, but we need to know more about it. So teach me.
I think it's fair to say that most herbalists have their favorite herb, and mine for sure is Rhodiola rosea.
Why is that?
It is, as far as I can figure, the most beneficial, life-enhancing herb we've got. I don't know of anything that comes close.
Really?
I know of many, many herbs that are highly beneficial and do lots of very good things. But rhodiola, start from the beginning. Rhodiola rosea comes either from Siberia, and I've researched it there, or from far northwestern China in the Tian Shan mountain range, where I've also researched it. It is a root. It's cultivated a little bit, but most of it is wild harvested. And the reason it's called Rhodiola rosea, rosea as in roses, is when you harvest this root and you break it open, it actually smells like fresh roses.
Wow.
It's got a lovely rosy aroma. Sometimes it is called Arctic root. It has the plant itself has a nice golden blossom, and the early emperors of China, who of course were in the far east in the Beijing region, then Peking, would send parties out all the way across China to the farthest northwestern part, so a couple of thousand miles away, to collect this stuff and bring it back to the imperial court. It was considered that precious.
Right.
Rhodiola, it's almost laughable what we know, what this stuff does. It improves energy, stamina, endurance. It lowers stress hormones, so it basically relieves you of stress. When you take rhodiola for a couple of weeks or so, maybe a month, at a certain point, you are going to stop in the middle of your day and go, I don't feel edgy anymore. I feel great, but I don't feel that kind of like that hum or that maybe that I've been operating with for years.
So so in other words, it lowers cortisol levels.
It lowers cortisol in a big way.
Wow.
Rhodiola also it helps you to adapt to all types of environmental stress. I grew up spending my summers on the coast of Maine and swimming in the Atlantic Ocean there, which is cold. And, and I've been doing that my whole life. And I noticed once I started taking rhodiola, I'd been taking it for many, many months, and I went up to Maine where we have a summer house, and I got in the ocean, and I was, doing this for a couple of days, and all of a sudden I went, I'm spending about double the time that I typically would before I get cold. And I really hadn't changed anything else in my lifestyle but the addition of rhodiola. For temperature extremes, for altitude extremes, it completely wipes out jet lag.
Really?
I mean, if a person is a traveler, and I've got millions of miles on me, if a person is a traveler and they're not taking rhodiola, they're just failing to take advantage of something that will either greatly reduce or totally wipe out jet lag. All of the things that I'm talking about have been corroborated by human clinical science in addition to being traditional uses. We know that rhodiola enhances cardiovascular health. It improves immune function. There are some good studies on sexual enhancement, on regulating menstruation in women who have irregular menses. There is a very good human study on men with, middle-aged men with erectile dysfunction who, after taking rhodiola, there was about 68% improvement. That's pretty remarkable.
It is.
The brain enhancement part is what I like. I'm going to make a bold statement here that I think that in the entire world of remedies and medicines, the single most beneficial and effective antidepressant agent that we have is rhodiola. It smokes everything else I know of. It certainly is better than the antidepressant drugs.
You're right.
And what's interesting about how rhodiola works as compared with the drugs is a drug taken for depression may or may not help with the depression, but then there's a whole host of other negative effects.
Right.
With rhodiola, the likelihood is that it will help with the depression, but then there's a whole host of benefits. Like, oh, I didn't also expected to feel more energetic as well. So really, rhodiola, we know that it enhances memory, mental clarity, alertness, concentration. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of reading something and you read a paragraph and it seems familiar because you've been reading that paragraph over and over again because you're tired. I've done that on occasion,
yeah.
You know? When you take rhodiola, if your mental concentration time is, say, this much typically, it'll be this much with rhodiola.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the properties that you're explaining on rhodiola kind of remind me of ginseng.
Yes, yes.
Because I see the adaptogen type property in rhodiola is in a way mimicking ginseng, because I know that with the Siberian studies on ginseng, especially in Russia, I've heard about where the herb ginseng is great in areas of extreme temperature changes.
Yes, yes.
But you're also saying the same thing in the areas of rhodiola.
Yeah, I think that rhodiola, I mean, I'm a great admirer of ginseng and I use it regularly, and I think rhodiola is utterly superior.
Wow.
What I like about rhodiola is that, you see, I know that a lot of people never experience real health. Health is not the absence of painful disease symptoms. It's actually a dynamic state. It's a state of energy and vitality and feeling really great. And while I will not say that rhodiola alone is sufficient to produce that, I mean, you want to have a healthy lifestyle, rhodiola lifts people up. And I have met so many people who I've persuaded to try rhodiola who've come back to me and said, wow, this stuff is remarkable. I can't believe how good I feel. I want people to have the experience of vitality, to feel dynamic, to feel that they've got energy reserves they can draw on, that they have a positive attitude, that they're mentally clear and not in some sort of a fog. And rhodiola really delivers that.
How do you know what type of rhodiola to buy?
Well, you know...
And what potency?
Okay, we know from human clinical studies that between 300 and 600 milligrams of a standardized extract of rhodiola is beneficial for all the things I've just described.
Once a day, twice a day?
You know, once a day is good. I think the sweet spot is about 400 milligrams of extract a day. Rhodiola contains a group of compounds called the rosavins. And so you want like a 3 or 5% rosavin extract. You know, I do most of my medicinal plant travel for a French company called NatureX, and I go all over the world for them. And I've been able to do much of my research into Asian herbs on their behalf. And you know, they certainly make a great rhodiola extract, although it's not branded, so you can't actually know which one you're getting. But if you look for standardized rhodiola extract, you know, between 3 and 5% rosavins, you'll be getting the benefits I talk about. And there's one more thing about it, Ward. If people take the herbs that you feel, kava for relaxation, holy basil for stress, rhodiola, you know, for some of those similar things, but also just to feel really dynamic, maca for energy and libido and overall endurance. If they have herbs that they experience, that they feel, they see, I'm actually really feeling this stuff, you know, now I'm a believer, then they may be willing to try the herbs that you don't feel. You don't feel echinacea.
Right.
It may in fact help you with a cold, but you don't say, oh man, I can feel the increased production of T cells happening right now. And I mean, that's crazy talk.
I know it is.
You know, or milk thistle, wow, my liver enzymes are really on the move. You don't know.
Right.
So I regard these as gateway herbs, if you will, that they give people a positive experience, and then you go, yeah, you know, I want to try that other thing. I want to try that, you know, this herb for detox, or this herb for helping with colds, whatever.
Well, I think you got me sold.
Rhodiola is the great. As far as I'm concerned, it is, you know, of course, this is my bias, but I think it really is el ultimo. I think that it is something that if people take it, if they get the right rhodiola, they're going to feel it, they're going to have a marvelous experience.
But you said something so profound that no one, it's a shame, that no one has actually experienced real health, which is not, like you said, it's not the absence of disease, it's having the energy, feeling great, actually feeling happy.
It's a host of positives.
It's a total
it's
host
an
of positives.
upstream of all these benefits.
And in a way, now I feel sorry and feel saddened that so many people out there today have not experienced that yet.
Right.
Because I want you to, believe me, Chris and I want you to feel that way. Like you said, it's not the absence of pain. It's actually having the energy, the endurance, all the mental well-being, all of the good things that, well, technically our body was designed for in the first place.
Right, right. And our minds.
That's right.
You know, if our minds are fogged by lousy food and, you know, the drugs that people wind up on that just, you know, degrade mental function, and if you're just sort of staggering through the day and hoping you can make it one more day and kind of grind it out, that's not really how to live.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm fortunate. Sometimes I'm around some native cultures, and I don't want to over-glorify them, but I'm around native people who have community. They eat good, healthy food simply because it's all they have. They exercise constantly because they do hard work. They
hunt for their food and they grow their food.
Yeah, they play with their kids in a loving way, and they've got abundant energy, and they're often very, very happy. And, you know, I look at that and I go, wow, you know, there's really something to this. The simplicity of doing things naturally is a real thing. And if we can take cues from some of those people and take the traditional medicines and combine them with our very, very excellent science to make supplements and other things that can be available to folks who are never going to wind up in Vanuatu, South Pacific, or in parts of the Amazon, or in Patagonia, Chile, they can also have these positive experiences as well.
So rhodiola, that's the herb of the day.